Bonjour, je m'appelle Sandrine Ducois. I live in Paris and I make modern art. That was not my art, that was me going In 2007, I was commissioned by the French government to paint a collection of pieces inspired by modern Paris. My first painting was called Orange on White Background. It symbolized an orange on a white background, which was actually a very big square plate. My second painting was called Orange on a blue background and symbolized another orange but on a blue plate. My third piece was called Orange on a green background. It was the same orange as the first one, but this time it was sitting on some grass. And then I did a mural called Cucumber Unexpected, which was about an unexpected cucumber, who was actually an orange. Then the government rang me up and said, these are all very well, but they are pictures of oranges, not pictures of Paris. So I said, fine. I will do some abstract paintings of Paris landmarks. I did the Arc de Triomphe as the sun, the Eiffel Tower as a satsuma, the Musée d'Orsay as an orange-colored onion, and the Tour Montparnasse as a ping-pong ball that was white but has been dipped in a small tub of orange jam. And they said, this is ridiculous. The only thing you can paint is oranges. And I said, how dare you? I can paint lots of things apart from oranges. You name me one thing to paint and I will prove it to you. And they went into an huddle and said, dis donc, enfin, wish. And they came back and said, bien, you will paint for us a life-size picture of Gérard Depardieu. And for 6 weeks I did not sleep, I did not eat, I just painted with all my heart and soul. And then they gathered for the grand unveiling. I pulled the cord and they said, Sacre bleu! This is just a stick man with a big orange hat. I said, but look, the speech bubble. It clearly says, bonjour, je m'appelle Gérard Depardieu. And she was very good in green cards. But they did not understand. So I said, alors, I will take my work to the one person who will surely appreciate it. And that next day I packed my bag and took my whole collection to the man from Del Monte. And he said yes.
Talking and not talking with Laura Solon. Everybody says their office mates are crazy, but mine really are crazy. My boss hires people who've just come out of psych wards because he says they're better workers. They're really grateful for the job, and he can pay them in acorns.
I'm a salesman, so my office is my mouth. That's the headquarters. That's where everything gets done. And that's where I nearly choked last week when a 6-page fax came in.
I have no embarrassment about saying I slept my way to the top in my career. I'm a bed tester. And I shag my boss.
On a very slow day, I take all the small paper circles out of the hole punch and push them down the centre of Janice's packet of polos so that when she opens them, she thinks she's bought Treeball mints by mistake.
Yo, bitch!
I beg your pardon?
Oh, sorry, I'm just practising for a little project I've got coming up. The rapper 50 Fiddy Cent texted me this morning and he'd like me to collaborate with him on his new single, Ghetto Ho Hort.
But you're not a rap star or even in the music industry.
Well, no, but maybe he's got a bit bored with the whole bling-bling American boy from the hood stick, and he's thinking, we need some fresh blood. We need to mix this SH1T up mofo. So, why don't we get a middle-aged civil servant from Bicester in? He is going to party like it's his birthday, which usually involves going down to a beef eater with a few friends and having a mixed grill.
Or maybe it wasn't 50 Cent who texted you, just someone from work, like Richard.
Come on, well, how would Richard know the title of his next single? I mean... Oh, yes. I see what you're saying. Actually, it is quite annoying because I spend a fortune on these gold chains and the Lagoon is currently at the garage being pimped.
But, you know, if it was 50 Cent and you are collaborating on his next single, then, you know, bloody well done.
Thanks.
1001 uses for peas. Use 809. Dig 2 trenches in your garden either side of a pond. Make all your peas go from one side to the other, squash a few, and then make most of the peas retreat back again to the other side. Then get some other peas from across a bigger pond to join in. They'll be healthier peas with a lot more money. Keep squashing peas and then isolate one pea in a bunker and let it kill itself. And there you have it, the pea version of the Second World War. You don't think I'm stupid, do you?
Is this revenge for what I said about your new trousers?
No, that comes later. I'm smart, right? I mean, I read hardback books, I watch films with subtitles, I get the killer on Midsummer Murder 7 times out of 11 with one pair of murderers.
You still have the scorecard?
Yes. So, I'm not thick, I'm the exact opposite of thick.
Yes.
So why is it that I can't understand Sudoku?
What is there not to understand?
Well, I get that you can only use 1 to 9, you can't go over the edges.
Right.
But why does every row have to add up to the same thing and every diagonal too? And then there are 9 boxes of 9s, so it's all about the 9s. But then the 9s aren't allowed to touch the 6s, otherwise that's a no-duku. But they give you some numbers, so-called help you, but they're not always the right ones, because if you add them up, they don't always come to 45, and if they don't, then what does?
Wait. Who told you about the 6s and 9s?
I worked it out.
Okay, I don't think that's how it works.
Oh, I see. You think I'm stupid.
I'm not saying that.
Well, at least I can write my 8s in one go.
I just like doing 2 circles.
Lindy! Lindy, be quiet! Welcome to Chingley Hall. I live here with my sister Phyllis, who has no tail, and my dog Lindy, who has 1. Come in, roam around, but be warned, for everything the light touches is covered in rats. But it wasn't always so. In 1812, when my great-grandfather Lionel bought Chingley Hall, there were absolutely no rats. In 1865, when my grandfather Lionel took over, there were absolutely no rats. But then in 1920, my father, Lionel, got the house, and he had a plan. And that plan was 2-phase. 1, import cheap rats from the Orient. 2, sell rats for loads of cash. Now, 50% of the plan worked extremely well. But unfortunately, 50% was a failure of such large proportions that it was visible from space. And we were left with hundreds and thousands of rats. And one of those original rats is still alive today at the grand old age of 88. Of course, there is a theory that Papa Rat died in the 70s, and what we see now is just a different rat of similar width. But being rats, they keep very poor public records, so it's impossible to prove either way.
Simon, sorry to interrupt. I'm sure it's just a simple clerical error, but I didn't get paid last month.
Right. And is getting paid really important to you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I was hoping it wasn't. Okay, the thing is, if we want to fix this, I have to speak to the accounts department. Now, have you ever spoken to the accounts department?
No.
No. Okay, then you wouldn't know that it's not so much a department as a woman called Anne. Now, Anne has had a bit of a run of things recently. Her mother's been ill, her boiler broke, her children have hamsters and never muck them out. She's quite hot. And her car is, quote, making funny noises, a bit like a mouse when it goes round corners. Now, I'm not sure whether that's the car going round corners or the mouse, but either way, she shouldn't be approached. It's really not safe.
Fine, well, I'll call her then.
No, I won't let you do it.
Just give me the phone.
In nomine Patri, et Filius, et Spiritus Sancti.
What are you doing?
Praying for your immortal soul.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Just hang on. Hello, is that Anne? Hi, Anne, it's Simon Rogers from...
Bloody man!
I'm sorry, it's just...
Sitting there on Mount Arrogant, ringing me up with your man demands. Not for once thinking that I might actually have quite enough on my plate, thank you very much. What with running this department and a household with 3 children, 8 hamsters, and an elderly mother who thinks the ghost of Roy Walker is living in our fridge, even though she knows Roy Walker isn't dead. And do I get any help from my husband? No!
I'm sorry, I didn't think.
No, you don't think, do you? You're just man!
Are you all right, or would you like a hug?
Hug, please.
1 Minute Mysteries.
It was Wednesday in the Department for Education and Skills, which sounds impressive, but is actually just two women in their 50s called Jan and Pam. It was 1:30, so nearly time to go home. They'd been there since 9:30. This was the civil service, for heaven's sake, not the Marines. Jan had one more phone call to make, and it was quite an important one about an invoice, or as she called them, ASCII money slips. She dialed the number for the schools minister. Hello? 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 This was very mysterious. She dialed the right number, and no one was answering. Hello? 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 Pam looked up from her mug of tea. She'd just dropped a ginger nut in it and was midway through a salvage mission, but it would have to wait. Jan, that's not a phone, that's a calculator. Pam said as if she knew about technology. And she did a bit. She'd done a course. Oh, said Jan, and the mystery was solved.
So, Carol, after you got divorced last year...
I'm still fine and doing really well.
Of course you are. After you got divorced, you set up a couple of businesses, and they both failed.
I wouldn't say failed.
What would you say?
They non-worked.
Okay. You set up two businesses that non-worked, but you've picked yourself up and you've launched a third. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes. What is the one thing you always need but can never find?
A good plumber?
Okay. What is another thing you always need but can never find?
Affordable art.
No, what is... No, it's a pen. You always need a pen, don't you? But can never find one, meaning a daily struggle to commit messages, numbers and shopping lists to memory. How many times have you gone to the supermarket without a list and accidentally bought enough food for two because you've forgotten that you're single now, stupid, and very alone but also fine?
Yeah.
So what's the solution? It's penlerie, a range of jewellery made out of biros. A fashionable solution to the problem of not having pens. Get the right look and write down that you've got the right look.
That slogan's non-working?
I know. I'm actually looking to bring someone on board to work on the marketing. It's unpaid and you have to bring your own computer. But on the plus side, you can have the desk by the window. Would you be interested?
No.
Good evening, Pippi Loops. Guess who bit to me, who thicky lumps a lady from the house? Now, this morning when I woke up, the sun was shining in my room. It was too warm, it was too bright, I was hot, very hot, too hot. Hotter than the time I made an Easter bonnet out of desk lamps, but not as hot as the other time I lit a duvet bonfire in the loo. So I rang the women to ask for ice lollies and the chocolate-flavoured frozen cream. But the women said, oh, madame, it is breakfast. You may not have ice cream for breakfast. Have some muesli or lovely bits of toast. And I said, listen, women. One, I am not on speaking terms with muesli, as you well know. Two, don't lie to me. Bits of toast are adequate, but they are certainly not lovely. And three, I don't know your names, but if I want frozen cream at dawn, then I will get frozen cream at dawn, or some or all of you will die. I want it, I want it, I want it. Shut up, Gervais! So they put me on the naughty step and took away my skipping rope, which was frustrating because I had to use normal rope, which is only 10% as fun. And then I wandered to the drawing room to choose a card with China Lion. Now, China Lion is a very close associate whom I bought in the airport at Old Hamburg town. The lady said, have you anything to declare? I said, you are plump and ugly, tabby lumps. Oh, and FYI, this lion is mine. Now, Now, China Lion sits on the mantelpiece so he can see the window, so he can see the door, and so he is near enough to play cribbage with the crystal bumblebee. So China Lion and I circumnavigate the room, and we decided it would be fun to take a trip down to the sea. So we pack up a picnic rucksack with spaghetti hoops and peas, and then we go into the road, flag down a man inside a car, and I say, I'm moving, I'm coming, can you hear what I hear? It's calling you, my dear, out of reach. Take us to the beach. And it does, but when we get there is no sand, no donkeys, no sea, just a house with a lot of women who look exactly like the other women. And they say they are the other women, and I said, what the hell? And he says, oh, madame, I am married to your cleaner. I thought you were lost, so I brought you safely back to home. And I said, you are married to cleaner? Well, any friend of cleaner is a friend of mine. And he says, really? And I say, no, and then karate chop him in the balls. So they made me say, I'm sorry. Sorry, balls. And then I go inside for bad behavior tea, which is a little bit like normal tea, only you get the boring oaty biscuits on the plate with Jesus looking cross. Until tomorrow then, shut up now, go away.
And now that's right, it's time for an extreme catch-up with our extreme travel correspondent, Jane the Extreme Harper. Jane, which extreme destination have you travelled to this extreme week?
Upton-upon-Severn.
Okay, that doesn't sound very extreme.
Well, I was supposed to be going to West Papua and spend a week with a native tribe. But then I looked them up on the internet, and apparently they do this welcoming ceremony involving razor blades and man-eating spiders. So I'm staying in Upton-upon-Severn, Brian. I'm going for dinner in Pizza Express, and you can shove it in your hole.
When I was growing up, my parents had a border collie called Lossie, who they named after the famous television dog Lassie, but with a slightly different spelling so people wouldn't think they were copy dogs. And if anyone tried to tell them that the word copycat doesn't mean you're literally copying a cat, they would just tell them to copy shush. For they loved Lossie with all their heart and soul, and my mother would often say that Lossie was the daughter she never had. I would then say, Mum, you had a daughter, I'm sitting right in front of you. And she would say, oh yes, that's right, and look sad. Now, my parents always said Lossie was very much like her namesake in that she was loyal, friendly, and if you stood in the garden and shouted, Lossie, come home, sure enough, she would. And one day my father took Lossie for a walk near old man Reuben's quarry, when suddenly the ground gave way beneath his feet, and he fell down into a disused mine shaft. It was dark, damp, and his ankle had twisted, so there was no way of getting out. But luckily he looked up and saw his faithful canine staring down at him. Lossie, he cried, go get help, girl, go get help. And had life been like it is on television, she would have done. But it's not, and she didn't. Unless your idea of getting help is running around after your own tail before eating a dead bird, which you later throw up on the dining room carpet.
How was your holiday?
All right, in the end. We did one of those last-minute deals where it's a mystery hotel, and when we got to Greece, we found out we were staying in the Hotel Splendidos. So Tom went round telling everyone it should have been called the Hotel Not Brilliant But All Rightidos, until I told him you can't just speak Greek by adding idos onto the ends of English words, and if he kept doing it, I'd get a divorce.
Fair enough.
But then the next morning we woke up and realised our room looked out onto this donkey enclosure owned by the hotel, and all these poor donkeys were huddled together in skinny groups, limping around looking sad and ill-treated.
Oh no!
It was awful. Really, really awful. So I said to Tom, I'm not going to enjoy this holiday unless we do something about this. And he said, right, let's go see the Hotel Manageridos. And I said, I heard that. But as this is a donkey emergency, I'll let it slide. So we found the manager and told him how it was wrong, unfair, and how something should be done.
Good for you.
So he gave us a room on the other side of the hotel, and from then on we had a brilliant holiday with a lovely view of the sea instead of manky old donkeys. Results.
What about the donkeys?
Well, if a donkey falls down in a wood, but you can't see it out of your hotel window, does it exist?
Yes.
Well, then it should be grateful it's alive, because some donkeys, i.e. dead ones, aren't so lucky.
None of us knew that Jerry was that way inclined while he was married to Mags. Well, she might have known, the rest of us, no idea. She certainly didn't mention it as a reason when they split up. But a couple of weeks after the divorce, he started hanging round with that lot, bringing one of his new friends to the pub to barbecues. And look, I'm as open-minded as the next man. For example, no one would have minded if he turned out to have been gay. But his new pal, Mr. Bingo, Jerry thought he was great. And Mr. Bingo had the hair, the nose, the painted face, and those stupid big shoes, the water flower in his lapel. And then there were his other mates, Clappy, Winky Tim, Green Ears, all bastards. No one said anything because they were with Jerry and, we wanted to support him. But they were really over the top, always had to be the centre of attention. You'd be having a really interesting conversation with someone about biofuels versus hybrid engines, and you'd hear this honk honk, and oh well, maybe they'd have something to contribute to the debate. Oh no, they'd just run up and throw a bucket of glitter all over you both, and stand there as if they'd done something really good. Do you know how long it takes to get glitter out of a cashmere V-neck? And their cars kept falling apart, so we had to give them lifts everywhere, and they never paid for petrol, except Winky Tim, who had a coin on the end of a piece of string like Top Cat. And really, they just weren't funny. At all. We begged Mags to take Jerry back, to get him away from those clowns, but no. She'd started to hang around with ballerinas, and they, if anything, were worse, with their feet.
1001 uses for peas. Use 1001. Give 1 pea to all your friends, telling them that if they pay you a monthly fee, this pea will connect them to unlimited access to everything they could ever wish for. Insist on a 12-month contract and then fail to provide anything you've promised on a regular basis. And there you have it, the pea version of an internet service provider.
Miranda?
Yes?
You told me to ring Caroline and get you out of that lunch meeting.
Yes?
Well, she's not picking up and it keeps going through to answer phone.
We'll leave a message.
I can't.
What do you mean you can't?
I'm not very good at leaving answer phone messages. I'm the opposite of good at leaving answer phone messages. I am ungood.
Well, don't be ridiculous. Just call her up and say, I can't make the meeting, I've got another appointment.
It would be better if you did it.
Oh, for goodness sake, Becca, just do your job. There's the phone, make the call.
Okay.
Hi, this is Caroline Watson's phone. Please leave a message after the beep.
Oh, hello, Caroline Watson's phone. It's someone else's phone, but I'm not going to say who. Miranda can't meet you for lunch because she's secretly in love with you and wants to take off your pants and trousers and do things to your Jasmine. That's all now. Moo.
You've only got yourself to blame.
At the top of their field, with me, Martin Donaldson. Women in business used to go together like a horse, and something that doesn't go with a horse, e.g. speedboats or creme fraiche. But these days you can't walk into the city without there being a woman there. Like Susan Connor, who runs a hedge fund. Whatever that means. Susan Connor, you run a hedge fund. First of all, what does that mean?
No one really knows, Martin. One theory is that it's a fund to raise money for hedges that are somehow in need. But that can't be true because I earn millions of pounds.
And how the hell did you get to earn so much cash?
Well, I'm intelligent, hard-working, blah, blah, blah. But I've also got really brilliant tits. Honestly, they are amazing. And it's a serious dilemma for me every day. Do I use them for good or evil?
How would you use them for evil?
I'd point them at the stock market and devalue the pound. 10 months ago, I started going out with a man called Greg. He was a passionate environmentalist. All his time was spent going out onto the streets and badgering people to save the rainforest or the rhino or some bear they'd never even heard of. And even though I'd never been that interested in the environment, the only way I could spend time with him at weekends is if I stood near his stall shouting, "Save the cheerleaders, save the world," until he pointed out that that was something else. Anyway, I always thought he was a bit of a nutbag, but then a few months ago, I read The Guardian. Now, most of the articles were about Glastonbury Festival and how brilliant it is, because if you just go once, you can talk about it forever at dinner parties. But then there was this other article that said we had to go green, and really green, or we're all going to die by Christmas. And then it had a graph to prove it. And then this advert for a self-sufficient eco-community on the northwest of Scotland. I said to Greg we should go, and he said he didn't really want to go because his Mac wouldn't work up there. And I said, fine, you stay here, you planet killer, and I'll take the girls and show them what environmentalism really means. But unfortunately, what it really means is being stuck in a freezing cold eco-tent, miles from the nearest town, surrounded by men in beards who might also be women, but as you can't shower or wear deodorant, you don't want to get close enough to find out. There's no TV, no radio, and so the only thing to do is cook lentils, or talk about the next time you're going to cook lentils, or how you weren't going to cook lentils, but now you've thought about it, you are. The wind turbine's broken because it got blown down by the wind, so the only source of power is the village dynamo. If you pedal all day, you've got enough energy to use a torch, only of course then it's dark, and you need a torch to find the torch, and so all you've really done is cycled yourself into a carbon-neutral catch-22. I miss eating, I miss shops, I miss the absence of lentils, and it becomes ever more apparent that A, it's past Christmas, so The Guardian was lying, and B, I didn't think this through.
Talking and Not Talking starred Laura Solon with Rosie Cavaliero, Ben Willbond and Ben Moor. It was written by Laura Solon with additional material by Ben Moor, Charlie Miller, Andy Marlatt, John Hunter and Holly Walsh. Original music was by Ozzy Mizo and the producer was Colin Anderson.
2 years ago, I decided to leave my job in recruitment consultancy and write a novel. I wasn't quite sure what about, but I had a fairly strong plotline about a woman who leaves her job in recruitment consultancy to write a novel. About a woman who leaves her job in recruitment consultancy to write a novel. And I was definitely going to call the lead character Infinity, because that would be a central theme. So I thought that was it on the whole 9-to-5 thing. I was going to write books, make millions of pounds, and spend the rest of my life living in a big castle, which I'd rename Money Palace. Some people might think that's a bit vulgar, but some people can suck it up. I'd be rich, I could do what the hell I liked. Anyway, it's 10-to-5 on my last day, so I decided to do a little goodbye speech. It was supposed to be nice, but a few seconds in I think, I'm not going to see these people again, unless I have a charity ball at Money Palace and I let them man the cloakroom. But even then, I'll be far too busy with my new celebrity friends to notice. So I told them exactly what I thought. I said, Jane, you're too hairy. Karen, you're a giant who's also fat. And then walked right up into the face of my boss Ian and whispered, you smell of pate, and not in a good way. P.S. Stop wearing docksiders. You're not on a boat, you massive land-based tool. Then I left singing I Will Never See You Again to the tune of I Will Always Love You, which didn't technically scan. But unfortunately, my book was then rejected by everyone, including some people I didn't even send it to. So now I'm working on a new novel. It's about a girl who really, really needs a job and can't get one because her boss, who loves docksiders to such an extent that he hates people who don't, has rung everyone in town to make sure she never works again. But she needs to work again to make cash because after receiving a call from a giant and her sidekick beard woman, Dolly Parton is suing the unemployed girl for covering I Will Always Love You without permission.
Talking and Not Talking with Laura Solon.
My mother said, never trust a man with a beard. He's always got something to hide. And she was right. I went out with a bearded man called Tony. And when he shaved it off, they found a doorway to a Chinese nail bar selling pirate DVDs.
The thing is, at least if you feel like you're a man trapped inside a woman's body, you can have an operation to fix it. If you feel like you're a woman trapped in a woman's body, there's bugger all you can do.
I always thought online dating was for losers. But that was before my wife and I decided to set up profiles for ourselves on a popular dating website. We'd then reject the advances of all the singletons and just go on dates with each other, where we'd laugh and laugh at how we'd beaten the system at its own game.
Are you going to Simon's party?
No.
Because?
Well, because 3 months ago I got very drunk and promised Eleanor I'd take her on a mini break. She then got me more drunk and made me sign a legally binding contract that means I have to take her to the Cotswolds this weekend.
The Cotswolds? Yeah. Well, be very careful what you say out there.
What do you mean?
Sam and I went to the Cotswolds last year. It started very well. We drive to this village and it's all very Cotswoldsy. There's a marketplace, cobbles and shops selling fudge, wicker hedgehogs, fudge hedgehogs and wicker fudge. But about 3 hours in, we're sitting outside this pub by the village pond, and I turn to Sam and say, this is all a bit twee, isn't it? I mean, ye olde village after ye olde village. It makes you want to be sick and go and live in a tower block in communist Russia. And they heard.
But who heard?
The Cotswolds Inquisition. It's like the Spanish Inquisition, but with waxed jackets. They attacked us. Sam tried to get away from them by pretending to be a duck, but they found him because he was the only one who was beakless and over 6 foot in length.
So, what did they do?
They took us away for questioning in a disused tea room and said, did we realise that what we just said was heresy? I said, what is heresy again? And they defined it, and I said, oh, I always thought that was pronounced hearsay. Then we digressed into a chat about manufactured pop bands, and then they said they'd let us go, but the dry stone walls have ears. One more strike, and we'd be very, very sorry.
What? They physically hurt people?
No. They just make a call to your hotel, and the next day your breakfast is slightly cold.
Susan, can I talk to you about something?
Sure.
We're colleagues, aren't we? Which is a businessy way of saying not friends. And that gives us the distance to say things that non-colleagues or friends might not.
Uh-huh.
Susan, for the past 2 weeks, you have come to work wearing a jumper with a massive Alsatian on it. You're not wearing it now, you took it off to have lunch so you wouldn't spill anything on it. But you'll be putting it back on in a minute, and I imagine wearing it again tomorrow. Which would be all very well if you were 12 or worked in a dog zoo. But you're a 34-year-old marketing manager. Now, it's not appropriate. Please leave it at home.
Okay, I think I know what's going on here. You're prejudiced against Alsatians.
What?
You're an Alsatianist, a German shepherdess-ist. You think Alsatians are evil, silly, and far too big.
Don't be ridiculous.
Denial. Typical Alsatianist behaviour. I'm disappointed in you. I want to say Anne?
Amanda.
You've read your Daily Mail and believed everything that's in it. Oh, Alsatians bite people. Oh, Alsatians eat babies. Oh, why don't they all just go back to Alsace where they are simply known as Uns? To be frank, I expected better from you.
Susan, if your jumper has an Alsatian on it tomorrow, you're fired.
Okay. She didn't say it couldn't have Alsatians
I'm saying it now.
Damn it!
Lindy, be quiet! That's Lindy, my red setter. She's currently in the yard, barking at rats. Later she'll be in the yard chasing rats, and after that she'll be preparing for the Queen's birthday with our annual Trooping of the Rat. And We really do have a lot of rats here at Chingley Hall, and people often say to me it must be exhausting running a house that's covered in rats. What on earth do you all do to relax? And I say, it depends. Lindy likes to go walking, I prefer to read, and my sister Phyllis loves to dance, but of course only in her head because she's got no legs. But sometimes, if she's been very good, Lindy and I will take her out with us in the car and drive around with the rat nav. Not quite as effective as sat nav, but a lot more effective than cat nav, which is a fool's technique where you tape a cat to your dashboard and pray it has an encyclopedic knowledge of the nation's roads.
So, Carol, after your marriage broke down...
It didn't break down, it just went to sleep one night and didn't wake up.
After your marriage went to sleep one night and didn't wake up, you've been trying to launch a range of products on the market, and you've got another one for us. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it's the new bathroom sensation that's going to bring an end to the daily burden of towels.
And what burden is that?
Well, you know how you have a shower in the morning and your towel gets wet, and then around lunchtime you need another shower because you live by yourself and you need to wash away the feeling of being stupid and alone. So you have another shower, but the towel's damp and doesn't work properly. Oh no, nightmare on Towel Street. What's the solution? Well, you need to buy Carol's multi-towel for just $29.99. It's a towel that says morning on one side, and that's the side you use in the morning, and then you turn it around to the not morning side and use that not in the morning.
Okay. But surely another solution would be to own more than one towel.
No, but... Yes. Yes, well spotted. Do you want to buy a multi-towel?
Okay, I'll take one.
Just one? Because you'd really be helping me out if you could buy 500 or more.
No.
Oh. 1001 uses for peas. Use 11. Put some peas around a square and make them shout at each other. Put some other peas in a pub and make them shout at each other as well. Have other peas in a market shouting at each other, and a few more in a cafe, or as they will pronounce it, caf. Watch your creation until you feel depressed. And there you have it, your very own pea version of EastEnders.
Sorry I'm late. I got a rather amazing phone call just as I was leaving the office.
Oh my God, you got the promotion?
No, better than that. It was FHM. The votes are in. They've been independently verified and counted. And in their list of 100 sexiest women, I am number 3.
What?
Yeah, got beaten by Angelina and the cheerleader from Heroes, but still, I'm on the podium, and that's pretty brilliant.
But isn't the whole point of 100 sexiest women that everyone on the list is a sexy woman?
Well, in the past, yes, but maybe this year they've taken a long look at themselves and said, hey, you know, we live in an era of equal opportunities. Who's to say that a man can or can't be a sexy woman if he wants to be? And anyway, aren't we all tired of looking at cliched pictures of blondes in bikinis? Let's mix it up with a picture of a 38-year-old man from Leighton Buzzard. He's into snooker, fell walking, and novels by Patrick O'Brien. And he'll have a lot of really effective sex with you, if you know what I mean. Maybe in the back of his Passat. Somewhere unconventional like Debenhams.
Or the person who rang you didn't work for FHM at all.
Well, then why would they be ringing? If they didn't work for the magazine, they wouldn't have anything to do with the list at all. And you... Oh, I know. Do you think it was Richard playing a joke again?
Yes. But if it isn't, and you are actually the third sexiest woman of 2008, then, you know, bloody well done.
Thanks.
woke up, there was a horrid vampire in my room. So I put on anti-vampire pants, which, if you must know, are the ones with garlic on the bum, and said, "Vampire, what the hell are you doing in my chamber?" And it said, "Sorry, madame, I'm not a vampire. It is Joyce, your cleaner. And I just popped in with your laundry and morning cup of tea." And I said, "That's exactly what a vampire would say." So I lined her up, took 10 paces back, and then drop-kicked her in the spam. Then I skippy-scotched downstairs his shoes to hang this China Lion. Now, China Lion is a very dear friend of mine, whom I found in a hospital in the outskirts of Hamburg. The lady said, "But madame, he belongs to my sick daughter." And I said, "La, la, 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 la," not listening, and the lion was mine. Then China Lion opines that he would like to bake a cake. And I say, "Super! I love cakes. They're lovely. They are spongy. And when we are finished with the cakey baking mixture, we can ask the women, I don't know their names, if they want to lick the bowl. And if they say yes, we can shout, 'Disgusting slut! Flush it like everybody else.'" So we wandered to the kitchen, and whilst I put on the hilarious apron which looks like naked lady boobs, China Lion mixes together assorted foodstuffs from the fridge. And I said to the China Lion, "Delicious! With this scatter, you're really spoiling us. It is fit for an ambassador's party." So immediately I ring the British Embassy. "Hello? Hello? Is that the British Embassy? Don't you know someone who works at the British Embassy? Never mind, I have a recipe for upside-down surprise cake. Have you got a pencil? Good. The recipe is flour, eggs, sugar, butter, spaghetti hoops. That is all. Shut up, go though.
Caroline, I haven't seen you for ages.
Not ages, 5 years.
5 years? Is it that long? What have you been up to?
This and that. Oh, and I joined the French Foreign Legion.
What?
Yes, or as they say in France, yes.
Why did you do that?
Well, you know when I worked for that business-to-business publishers with that woman called Helen, and how we were on a bus once together, and it was really busy, and she stood on my foot and kept standing on my foot for 5 whole stops.
Not really.
Well, she did. It hurt a lot. I had to wear this special NHS shoe boot for a week and refrain from foot-related activities such as kicking and salsa.
You hate salsa. You said it's for slags.
Yes, but what if I'd wanted to be a slag that week? 1 ticket for salsa, please. I'm not wearing pants. Oh, you must be joking. You've only got 1 good foot. What does the sign say? And through the tears, I'd whimper, "No unipeds."
I don't know if that's a word. Actually.
So during all the time I spent not kicking or doing any salsa, it occurred to me that if I joined the Foreign Legion, trained like a beast for 5 years, next time Helen stood on my foot on the bus, I could dead her.
Yeah, or you could just ask her to please move her foot.
That's not the Legion way. Dead first, ask foot questions later.
Professor Stevens, do you like going to the theatre?
I love going to the theatre, Dr. Rogers. In fact, the only thing I love more than going to the theatre is telling people I love going to the theatre, which I often pronounce theatre to demonstrate general cleverness and well-rounded cultural know-how.
Lovely. Because there are 2 plays I'd be very interested in seeing. One is a new 24-hour production of Macbeth at the National. They've taken the full unabridged Shakespeare script, which would last 4 hours, and what they're doing is saying the lines very slowly, so it takes 6 times as long. And the other one is a new play called Guaranteed Tits.
Yes, what's that about?
Well, I've just read a review of it in the internet, which said it was a woeful piece of theatre with no plot of characterization, but on the other hand, there's an actress in it who gets them out.
Well, if I was to sum up the way my mind was working on this, Dr. Rogers, I would say that Macbeth is certainly a powerful piece of theatre, but I've seen it at least twice in the last year, whereas I haven't seen any tits, guaranteed or otherwise.
That's very interesting, because I hadn't seen Macbeth for at least 4 years, but I did see a little bit of tits when I went to the cricket, and a woman called Lil got drunk and pulled up her T-shirt. I saw the left one and about 10% of the right. However, she was in her 60s, whereas the actress is in her 20s, so I imagine it will be a very different experience.
Well, shall we flip a coin? Heads, guaranteed tits. Tails, guaranteed tits.
What an excellent idea.
Now, there was a time, not so long ago, when the only thing you'd let a woman build would be a house made up of hurry up and iron my shirt bricks. But that time has passed. And I know this because I went to meet the female head and founder of construction company, Katherine Roberts Limited. So, Katherine, tell us what it's like to run a construction company. But don't go mad, this isn't an encyclopedia.
Well, running a construction company is rather like running a marathon, the only difference being that you're not running a marathon at all, you're running a construction company.
Right. And when did you first realise your talent for building?
As a child, I would make forts with my sisters, and literally, I'd make two of them stand upright for the walls, with their hands up supporting the third one as the roof. Then I'd fix them in place with skipping ropes and cement. As a result, they had a pretty awful childhood, but that's not important because I had a ball.
And now you're the head of a £200 million building empire. What do you do with all that money?
Well, I don't like to rub it in people's faces. It creases the notes. So instead, I take pictures of it in the bank and then rub those in people's faces.
Katherine, thanks very much.
Clash of the Legends is basically a battle of wits played every year at our village book festival. Two contestants pick a literary legend of their choice, then explain why their legend trumps the other. The winner gets a trophy and, for some reason, a bag of salt. Today's contestants are Marjorie...
Hello.
...and Tim.
You are going to die, bitch!
Really? Oh, no.
No, sorry, not really. No, just sort of said that to psych myself up, you know.
OK, contestants, please introduce your literary legends to the table.
My legend is celebrated British author Virginia Woolf.
And my legend is professional wrestler the Hulk Hogan.
Is he strictly a literary legend, Marjorie?
Well, he's written a book, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. It's a gripping read.
That's fair enough. Contestants, let's play Clash of the Legends.
Virginia Woolf was a leading modernist author.
Hulk Hogan has a bleached tash.
Point Hogan.
Virginia Woolf was a literary innovator of the stream of consciousness technique.
Hulk Hogan is a massive wrestler whose signature moves include rapidly pointing at his opponent and the dreaded finger wag.
Point Hogan.
Yes. Virginia Woolf was played by Nicole Kidman in Hollywood blockbuster The Hours.
Yes, but in a fight, Hulk Hogan would win because Virginia Woolf was not good at sport and she's dead.
She's right. Game Hogan!
Oh, what?
In your face, Tim. In your stupid, narrow face.
Nowadays, if you want to be really wealthy, you either have to work in the city or invent something clever, e.g. a car that runs off the noise of a woman saying, "Please slow down, you're driving too fast. I think it's left. No, wait, it's right. No, hang on. I'm going to have to turn the map upside down." But if you can't be bothered to do either, the next best thing to being rich is to trick people into thinking you are. So, what I do is I wear blazers, salmon pink trousers, and thick stripy socks, which I say I wore when I was playing fives. I shout instead of talking and hold my breath at parties so my face goes really red, and people will think it got that way by drinking wine. Whenever anyone asks, "Where do you live?" I say, "Well, summer or winter," and then spend 2 hours telling them they simply must go to Tuscany or they'll probably die. Then I stand in the middle of the room going, "Bar, bar, bar, foreign people, bar, 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 Gordon Brown, bar, 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 Waitrose." Then just before I leave, I eat a lampshade for a bet, cementing my reputation as either an eccentric millionaire, complete idiot, or indeed both.
1001 uses for peas. Use 109. If you paint your peas silver, you can actually turn them into pretend ball bearings. Or not. At the end of the day, they are your peas.
Where's Steve? Is he parking the car?
No, he's not coming. He's in prison.
In prison? What for?
Well, basically, we'd been having a few problems in the bedroom department, and we went to this counsellor who suggested we spice things up by the whole meet in a bar and pretend to be strangers routine. So last Friday, I go to this bar, and Steve, /man I've never met before, comes up and says, "Hey, sexy, can I buy you a drink?" And so, of course, I say no.
Why no?
He's a stranger. You don't accept drinks from strangers. It's slutty. So he goes, "OK, do you want to dance?" Again, "No thank you, strange man." But he won't take the hint and then says, "All right, do you want to just go back to my place?" and rubs my upper thigh. Well, that turns him from stranger into crazy sex pest who probably wants to take me back to his dead mum's house, cut off my arms and legs and keep me in a box. But luckily, I've watched the Karate Kids 1, 2 and 3. I kick him as hard as I can, sand his floor, wax his fence, something else to do with those tiny trees, and then call the police.
Poor Steve.
So, the moral to the story is, if you're pretending to be strangers, make sure you have a code word to break the role play. Mr. Miyagi would be a good one,
Or stop this nonsense, you know me, I'm your husband.
It's a bit long.
Call me old-fashioned, but I think today's organised religion is a joke. I mean, the traditional values we used to embrace have been turned on their heads. Divorce is okay, gay marriage is okay, but for some reason, animal sacrifice is not okay. I mean, that used to be important. You loved God, you slit a lamb's throat. I mean, I think you'd see attendance back up if churches had an abattoir feature.
We have a beautiful old church, but it's mostly empty nowadays. People are too busy, or they complain that it's boring. I don't have that problem, because whenever my mind starts to wander, I just remind myself, there's dead people under the floor. You never know what could happen.
My Aunt Beth got a coffee at Starbucks and saw the image of Jesus in the foam of a double venti mocha no-whip half-calf. She was really angry about it because she's Jewish.
I don't go to church because it makes me fat. I mean, it's all about food, isn't it? Loaves and fishes, milk and honey, the Lamb of God. The Book of Numbers is essentially a cooking show. Honestly, I'm starving after a good sermon. Most people see the symbol of the cross and think Jesus, but I see it and think plus size.
If there's one piece of advice I can pass on to the next generation, it's never, ever, ever lie on your CV. About 10 years ago, I got fired from my marketing job. I had no money, mounting debts, and at one point I got so desperate that I went round pubs doing stunts for cash. It didn't go well. I made 30p from card tricks and then got £2 off this bloke for eating a bee. But he thought it was for charity, so I had to give it back. Things couldn't get much worse, but then I saw this ad asking intelligent people to apply for a unique and challenging role. So I sent off a rather embellished version of my CV, which got me a series of interviews with quiet-voiced men. They never specified what the job was, but they were all called numbers and had these pens that turned into guns. And rather less usefully, I thought, guns that turned into pens. They asked me a lot of questions about international politics, which I know nothing about. So I just smile and say, "I'm afraid I can't answer that," which for some reason they thought was brilliant. Then, a few weeks later, they sent a postcard saying, "Dear Lindsay, hiya. We think you might have the skills to be our new female assassin. Tomorrow, you're on a plane to Germany to kill a man who's been really quite rude about the Queen. Lots of love, MI6. Well, next thing you know, I'm 10,000 foot in the air parachuting into a German wood. Problem 1, I didn't know how to parachute. I just put that as a passion on my CV next to literature and performance art to make me sound interesting. And secondly, after landing, I couldn't blend in with my excellent German brackets fluent because I'd only done GCSE, and the only thing I could remember was Wie komme ich am besten zum Bahnhof, which means which is the quickest way to the train station. And that's fine if you're in Germany on holiday and want to get to a station, but if you're an international assassin working undercover as a Bavarian piano tutor, it's not a lot of help. So don't lie on your CV. You'll get found out, shot at, and then an evil man will take you back to his lair and try and zap you in twain with a laser.
Talking and Not Talking starred Laura Solon with Rosie Cavaliero, Ben Willbond and Ben Moor. It was written by Laura Solon with additional material by Ben Moor, Charlie Miller, Andy Marlatt, John Hunter and Holly Walsh. Original music was by Ozzy Mizo and the producer was Colin Anderson.